Everybody, please start your blocks.
Yeah, the handshake and the game is on. We see e4, e5.
So no more Sicilians.
No more Sicilians. Respect for the young guys, yeah? By Magnus. And Magnus goes for the Steinitz. So with probably with bishop d7, g6. The line also Hikaru used in the rapid section, and he won a very important game against Sergei Zhigalko. h3.
Yes, you remember we were discussing this line starting with bishop g5, f6 and bishop b3.
Exactly, yeah. So castles, rook e1. Very, very solid position for both sides. Rook e8. I mean, if the white knight could somehow jump to g3, everything would be perfectly fine and very nice for white, but this is still far away. Usually black somehow always makes sure that white knight will not reach to g3. But queen e7, is this a move that stops this knight f1, knight g3 plan? Not really. Yeah, Magnus goes for queen f8. This is a maneuver which my father-in-law Arshak Petrosyan used to play a lot against me in Blitz. And I was kind of laughing, what is this? Arshak, what is this? But he said that, yeah, it's a very tricky system. It's an old classical idea to place the queen on f8 and try to play bishop h6, and then you free the d8 square for the rook, and you kind of provoking white to go d4, d5, and you see a completely different type of structure.
Yes.
Knight g5.
Those are the king's Indian structure, but I think very often those are played with the bishop on a4, when you can exchange the bishop on d7 and then...
Exactly. And now knight g5 is a lovely, lovely little move, and Magnus is very unhappy. He's very unhappy because his bishop h6 plan simply backfired. White wants to go now f2, f4 maybe. It's very, very risky, and also Magnus doesn't really have much of an experience in this type of position. I don't know, I can't really recall any game by him. And Magnus in trouble.
How did you play in your Blitz games against Arshak?
Well, it was not exactly from this move order, but I mean basically it was more like when I play with d3 and then later I anyway push d4, so we got the same position more or less.
But this is a more dangerous setup then.
Yeah, definitely, and Magnus is very, very unhappy. Knight d8, he has to bring his knight to e6 to exchange this knight from g5, bishop b3, exactly, putting pressure on the diagonal. Magnus very, very unhappy. So question, can he go knight e6? Can he go knight e6? Because so many things are hanging in the air. Meanwhile, on the second board, Grishchuk-Nakamura game finished in a draw. That's why Magnus looked up. He wanted to know what happened there. And h4.
So, well, for the moment he still has half a point margin if he draws.
Yeah, but he's in danger. I mean, he's very far away from drawing this game. With h3, h4, white has cemented the knight on g5. Black has to retreat to g7 because you can't tolerate this knight on g5 for long. Magnus has to be ready to drive it away sooner or later, but his position is looking very, very dangerous. And Firouzja goes for h5. Yes, he goes for h5.
Yes, and please don't forget that Alireza Firouzja won the silver medal in the rapid event already.
Yeah, it's a stunning performance. Now bishop h6 back. Magnus is very, very smart, immediately targeting the knight on g5. So, but if you go queen d2, yeah, you cannot go knight g4, or, yeah, queen c1, knight g4, and now all this knight takes e6, bishop takes e3, bang, bang, bang. Where does it lead? I mean, Very, very tough for the players to understand. 110. So finally, Magnus has speeded up and managed to get some kind of a comfortable time advantage. This is very, very important psychologically. And I feel like Magnus has a little bit calmed down. He was very unhappy 3-4 moves ago. And we see this line, knight takes e6. And fe6 had to be played because bishop a6, queen f2 check. Wow, what a trick by Magnus. That was it all about. That was it all about. Because otherwise fe6 is a terrible strategical move, but here concretely it works.
And he controls the f4 square, which is even more important now.
Exactly, look f1, and now all of a sudden Firouzja became very nervous because he feels like his momentum has passed.
Yeah, I thought that Magnus wanted to play bishop f4.
Yeah, but he also wants here now queen g5, queen h4. I mean, the dark squares are... Yeah, queen d2 now. Clearly, Firouzja regrets putting the queen on c1 instead of on d2. It could have been so different, then the pawn on f2 would have not been hanging. Yeah, now he's down to 33 seconds. He basically has already no time to think at any of the critical moments. He has to keep on playing
So what
fast.
do we have? Queen g5. Magnus takes on d4 first.
He takes first on d4. Okay, something also like king g7 would be very natural, and rook f8.
Yes, there are 3 candidate moves, I think. Queen g5, rook f8, and king g7.
Exactly. King g7 played. Rook f3 most probably will be played as well. Exactly, I mean, you need to bring the other rook and you have to cement. Rook f8, rook a f1. This is now easy and obvious. Magnus wants to go bishop b5 or bishop c6. No, he finally takes on f3.
And rook f8.
Rook f8, yeah. So Magnus wants to make sure that he's totally safe and wants to press in the endgame with the 2 bishops. Queen c3, a clever move if it works. Does this work? It's a provocation which will cost Magnus quite some time because you feel like maybe you can take on f3 and then queen g5 or something, but white is in time to protect with king f2.
Maybe you have time to play bishop c8, c6.
Yeah, finally just a small little move c6. You had to protect the pawn.
But so little time for both players.
Yes, knight f1, protecting the e3 pawn.
Have to have a look at the ladies' results. So Anna Muzyczuk won against Anastasia Bodnaruk.
Wow, so Anna is on fire, yeah? Putting the pressure on Katja. But what is happening here? Magnus is down to 12 seconds, but a stable position. 12 seconds, but a stable position. Queen c4, stable, but watch out, checkmate is threatening on g8. Yeah, queen f6. A nice stabilizer. d is forced. Queen b4 check. Wow, pawn on b7 is falling. Pawn on b7 is falling. c5 by Magnus. Wow, because he has bishop b5. Queen c8. Will we see a... Yeah, and c5 pawn is taken. Magnus
Magnus is getting very nervous.
Yeah, and he was very angry by this. Also the pawn on g6 is wrong, so he has to go for this opposite. It reminds me of Nepomniachtchi Firouzja's endgame. So white is 2 pawns up, but there is no... I mean, there is only one passed pawn. So this will help Magnus to save the game. But now, okay, king f3, king g4. Yeah, now the white king gets to f5. Magnus is very unhappy because he wanted to meet king f3 with king e7. Almost lost on time. He has to now just sit and wait. And now, yeah, but yeah, exactly. Now b pawn is going. d5, bishop d8. Magnus might be zugzwanged. But even this king move, this was crazy. The pawn on e4 still not jadoubed. e4 and bishop f4. bishop f4, Magnus, or bishop c3. King b6. What is this? e6, king c6.
Yes, he needs to bring his
Wow.
king to d8.
Wow. Magnus folds. Is it holding? It's another question, yeah, because it's, wow, almost lost on time, Firouzja. Don't forget about your time. He loses on
Oh, he
time.
lost on time.
He lost on time.
This is really tragic.